Good morning, students. Lesson number 8, static electricity. Okay. Before starting the lesson, let us see some small experiments which you might have done earlier also. In picture I have taken one comb and trying to touch that comb to the pieces of paper, and you can see as shown in the video that they are not getting attracted toward the comb. Okay. Now what we are going to do, we will take either a nylon cloth, or you can take a woolen cloth, or else a comb we can rub on the hair as well. Okay. If we rub it vigorously on all these objects, okay, as you can see that I am rubbing it on the woolen cap, correct. Many times I have to rub it, and after rubbing we can just see, if you hold the comb near the pieces of paper, they get attracted toward the comb. Okay, you can see some pieces are getting stuck to the comb. Okay, even if you try to make it fall, it's not falling down. So this experiment many time you might have performed. Okay, now today we are going to learn what is the reason behind this. Along with this experiment, some more experiments we will perform. You can see the flowing water is there. Okay, it's flowing down, but if I hold the comb near the flow of water, okay, it will not disturb the flow of water before rubbing. I'm talking about. If you rub the same comb on the woolen cloth and hold it near the water, you can see that the water flow is getting disturbed. Initially which was falling straight, it is getting disturbed because of the comb. One more experiment, mustard seeds present in everyone's house, rice seeds. Okay, what you have to do, in plastic bottle you have to shake it little bit, vigorously you have to shake. Okay, and then afterward these mustard seeds we have transferred into another plastic bottle, and again we have to shake it vigorously. So what happened, that mustard seeds, if you see after shaking, some of the seeds are getting attracted toward the wall of the bottle. You can see in the video that some of the mustard seeds are getting attached to the walls of the bottle. Okay. Now looking at all these experiments, what we are going to conclude. Okay, let us see these or conclude this experiment with respect to our today's experiment or lesson, that is static electricity. Why all these things are happening, that we are going to discuss in our next lesson, static electricity. Okay, every object, it has some charge. Okay, what are the different charges present on the object, and what are the reasons behind all these conclusion of these experiments? Let us see one by one. Lesson number 8, static electricity, part 2. In previous video, just now we have observed that a plastic comb or ruler, if you rub on any dry hair or any woolen object or a nylon cloth, what happens? It attracts the piece of paper. If we pass a comb which is rubbed on a woolen cloth to the flowing water, you have seen that it changes the direction of flowing water, or it attracts the water. One more example, what we have seen, that if we put some mustard seeds in a bottle and shake it vigorously, then the mustard seeds get attracted towards the plastic bottle. Okay, some more examples in our day-to-day life which we observe are, if we pass near a polyester curtain again and again, it gets attracted towards us. Or in a winter season, if we rub a blanket with our hands and take it near a metal object, a spark is seen in the dark. Okay, so all these instances, whatever we have discussed, whatever we have seen, what does it indicate or what does it tells? Okay, it tells us that these examples are just a glimpse of the electric charge that all objects in our surroundings hold in abundance. Means whatever objects are present in our surrounding, even our body, okay, human body, animal bodies, all substances carries electric charge. Okay, we know that all substances are made up of very tiny particles. We know that we call them as atoms. Okay, they are made up of very small tiny particles. So in these atoms or in these particles, this electric charge is present, or we can say electric charge is an intrinsic property of these particles. Though in this way electric charge is present, but why we don't always feel a shock, or why we don't observe these instances? Because whatever electric charge is present in that object is always in a hidden state. Means it is dominated, it's hidden state. Every time you can't see the spark, every time you can't see the pieces of paper getting attracted towards the comb. Okay, so this is because of two types of charges which are present in objects. Which are those charges? Positive charge and negative charge, correct? And these both type of charges are present in equal numbers in all the substances. If these charges are not balanced, means if the number of positive charge and negative charge is not same, then we can say that object is said to be charged. Okay, how it happens, why we feel the current, why we whenever we rub the comb on a woolen cloth, it attracts a piece of papers. Let us see one by one by simple experiments. Okay, just now we have discussed that when the positive charge and negative charge on an object are balanced or they are equal in numbers, the object is neutral. Means at that time we can't feel the charge, or we can't feel the, or we can't see the activities like a plastic comb attracting the pieces of paper or mustard seeds getting attracted towards the bottle, correct? Normal position, they will not show such activity. If these charges are not balanced, then the object is said to be charged. Means positive charge and negative charge, if their number changes, then we can say the objects are charged. Now let us see how would two charged objects interact with each other. Okay, on the screen you can see two figures A and B. To the one support, one glass rod is been tied, and with the hand another glass rod is been hold, correct? If we take that glass rod near to the previous glass rod which is in hanging position, we can see that both of them push each other, or they are repelling each other. Okay, that is called as the repulsion, pushing away each other. But in figure B, if you see, there is one glass rod which is having positive charge and plastic rod which is having negative charge. You can see the plus symbols and minus symbols. Plus symbols is for positive charge and minus symbols are for negative charge. In B figure, you can observe or you can see that there is an attraction between glass rod and plastic rod. Okay, so from this we can conclude that two types of charges, if same types of charges are there, they always repel each other, or you can say two rods carrying similar charges push each other away. This is called as repulsion. And the two rods which are having opposite charges, that is, one is having positive and another is having negative, they attracts both the rods towards itself. It is called, it's a attraction. Okay, so what we find from this experiments, let us revise. Two rods carrying similar charges push away each other, this is called repulsion, and the rods carrying opposite types of charges get pulled towards each other, this is called attraction. The scientist Benjamin Franklin has named these electric charges, whatever positive and negative charge we are calling it now, it was discovered or it was named by the scientist Benjamin Franklin. In our textbook, we have been given some information about the scientist Benjamin Franklin, who named the electric charge positive charge and negative charge. Okay, in the year 1752, he conducted an experiment of flying kite with his son William, and the kite was made using silk cloth, okay, deodar wood and metal wire. Normally the kite is made up of paper, but what kind of kite he made? It was made up of silk cloth, and the sticks which were used were of deodar wood and metal wire. The metal wire, which was joined in such a way that its end was at the top of the kite and other end was joined to the string of the kite, and there was a lightning in the sky on the day they flew the kite. Okay, during rainy season, when the lightning was there in the sky, they flew this kite in the sky. And what happened? There was lightning in the sky on the day when the metal wire touched the clouds. The electric charge got transferred from cloud to the kite, and then the loose string of the kite became taut and electric charge reached the earth through this string. Means that electric charge that from the lightning, it passes through that string, and the spark was seen where the string touched the earth. Thus he showed that lightning is a form of electric charge. So we are going to learn how the lightning is taking place and what kind of charges are present and what is the mechanism behind this lightning strike. Okay, so this was some information about the Benjamin Franklin. Lesson number 8, part 4. Now we will see what is the origin of electric charge. All substances are made up of particles, and these particles are ultimately made up of very tiny atoms. We shall be looking at the details of atomic structure later. At this stage, it is sufficient to know that each atom contains a stationary positive charge and moving negative charges. Means every object have two types of charges, positive charge and negative charge. Positive charge is stationary, means that atoms that charge are not moving, but negative charges are in the position or in the state of motion. These two charges being perfectly balanced, an atom is electrically neutral. Means if the positive charge and negative charge numbers are equal, then what we say that atom is neutral, means it's not reactive. Okay. All objects are made up of atoms, which means that they are electrically neutral. Then how do the objects become electrically charged? Okay, as you can see in the figure which is shown on the screen, for some reasons, if the balance of electrically neutral atoms get disturbed, means the number of positive charge and number of negative charge changes. For example, when two certain objects are rubbed against each other, then negatively charged particles on one object go to the other object, and the object to which it go where negatively charged atoms are increased in numbers. Similarly, the object from which negatively charged particle go away becomes positively charged. Why? Because the number of negative charge become less. So it gets disturbed. The number of positive charge and number of negative charge are not same, and therefore the two objects, when we rub, one becomes positively charged and other becomes negatively charged. Okay, the object on which positive number of positive charge is more, it becomes positively charged, and the object on which negative charge is more, it becomes negatively charged. Okay. Now this electric charge which is generated, it is because of the friction or rubbing. unless and until you rub the two objects to each other, that electric charge cannot be generated or it cannot be transferred. Okay, and hence it is called as the frictional electricity, and the charge is produced only at the place of friction. Means wherever we rub, suppose if we are rubbing the comb on the woolen cloth, the part which we are rubbing, only at particular that place the charge will be produced, or it becomes electrically charged. Okay, means if you see the holder of the comb or opposite side of the comb, it will not attract the papers, and therefore we can say the charge is produced only at the place of friction, and hence that charge is called as the static electricity, because it remain on the object for short duration at particular place. Okay, therefore this name of this lesson is what? Static electricity. This electric charge, it is generated because of friction, and it's called as the frictional electricity. Always remember that each atom is electrically neutral and it has equal amount of positive and negative charge. If for some reason the negative charge decreases, the atom becomes positively charged. Now in this lesson many experiments are been given. We have, as much as possible we can conduct those as experiments and draw the conclusions. On page number 52 we have been given one table, correct? In that one it is given that material used for rubbing. Any material you have to take. For example, if you take nylon cloth, okay, nylon cloth. If an objects are being given, what is given? Balloon, ball pen refill, eraser, wooden ruler, steel spoon, copper strip. So this is the homework for you all. What you have to do? You have to take all these objects and take the nylon cloth or woolen cloth, and on that one you have to rub these objects. Balloon you have to take, rub it. Ball pen refill, rub it, and give the answer whether paper pieces gets attracted, yes or no. Okay, and if it gets attracted, then what we can say? Does the object gets charged? If attraction is there, then object gets charged, and if no attraction of pieces or no pieces gets attracted, then object is not charged. So only you have to do yes, no. You have to fill these columns with the answer yes and no. So this you can do in your science notebook. You can copy this table from the video, or you can copy this video from page number 52 of your science textbook. So here we are stopping after learning the what is the origin of electric charge. In next lesson or next video we will learn about the frictional electricity. Lesson number 8, static electricity, part 5. In last video we have started this lesson. I have shown you some experiments based on static electricity. We have seen the meaning of electric charge. We also have learned that each atom is electrically neutral, but it has equal amount of positive and negative charge. If for some reason the negative charge decreases, the atom becomes positively charged. Okay, and when this balance is disturbed, then only the electric charge flows from one substance to other. Now, about 2500 years ago, a Greek scientist named Thales found that feathers, okay, are attracted towards a rod of yellow colored amber. Amber is a substance like the way we have the plastic, nylon, same way the amber is the name of the substance. Name means is the type of substance. Okay, so if the feathers are hold near the amber rod, it is seen that they are attracted towards it. Which had been rubbed against a woolen cloth, means initially that amber rod has to be rubbed on a woolen cloth. Okay, this amber is called electron in the Greek language.
and therefore this property of amber to attract things was named electricity by Thomas Browne in 1646 AD. So this was something history, how these electric charges were studied and how the names were given, correct. And these negatively charged particles, they are known as electrons. This year we don't have that studies in detail, but for time being you just remember that all these names, positive charge, negative charge, electron, it is given by the scientists. Okay. Next concept we are going to learn is frictional electricity. What do you mean by frictional electricity? Friction means rubbing, correct. The electric charge which is generated by friction is called frictional electricity. Means while producing the static electricity, we have to take two substances and we have to rub it against each other. Okay, and that's why whatever electric charge is generated, produced by this rubbing, by this friction, it is called as frictional electricity. This charge is, and the way we have the electric wire, it conducts the electric charge, means it carries the electric charge all over the wire, it is there. But in static electricity, the charge is produced only at the place of friction. Means if two substances are rubbed with each other, the place at which they are rubbed, only at that place charge is been produced. Okay, so it is called as the static. Static means stable, means it's not continuously moving. So wherever you rub the substances, at that place the electricity will be produced, correct. And this static electricity remains for a short duration, means once it is produced for a very short, how much you rubbed that two substances, it depends on that, but also it is of short duration, means after some time again if you try to attract the pieces of paper with the comb, it will not be seen. Means continuously you have to rub that two things against each other to produce the static electricity. The charges of static electricity are absorbed in moist air. Okay, so normally whenever I gave you the examples of static electricity, what I said, in a winter season when you rush into the blanket, you can see the sparks. Why that sparks are been there? Because the static electricity experiments are done very well in dry weather, and in winter the weather is dry. Otherwise, now it's the rainy season, even in rainy season we can perform these experiments, but they will not give as a good result as they will give in a winter season. Why? Because whatever charge of static electricity is there, it gets absorbed in moist air, and nowadays it's a rainy season, the air in the surrounding is moist, humidity is there, so it will attract the charge. So you have to rub the, even if you want to perform these activities, you have to rub these objects very vigorously, and it will be for very short duration. To understand this frictional electricity in proper way, we have been given one experiment in our textbook. In that one, we have to take a apparatus, few straws we have to take, woolen cloth, or you can take socks or gloves also, and glass bottle. Place a straw on a bottle and take another straw near it. Okay, one straw you have to keep on a bottle and another straw you have to hold in a hand. Observe what happens. Okay, you have to take one straw near to that one and we have to observe what happens. Rub the other straw against a woolen cloth and take it near the straw on the bottle and observe what happens. Now, okay, first you don't have to rub. Second activity, you have to rub it on the woolen cloth and take near to the straw on the bottle. And third one, take two straws and rub them against woolen cloth at the same time, and out of that one we have to keep on the bottle and other we have to keep in a hand, correct, and again we have to observe. Now this was all procedure, and what will be the observation then? You can see when a charged straw is taken near the uncharged straw, there will be the attraction between two straws, means one straw and on a bottle and other straw in hand, both will attract each other, correct. Two straws carrying similar charges, when in second case when we both the straws we rubbed on a woolen cloth and observe them, we can see the repulsion. Why? Because both the straws we have rubbed on a woolen cloth, so obviously both of them will have same type of charge, positive or negative, whichever, means the straw which is kept on a bottle will also carry negative, and straw which is kept on a hold in a hand will also carry negative charge. And always remember, there is a attraction between opposite charges and repulsion between similar charges or like charges, correct. And third case was what? The charged straw with the oppositely charged cloth was brought near the rubbing and are brought near each other. So you can see that when the charged straw which are oppositely charged, they will show the attraction. Okay, so from this experiment what we can conclude? Electrically charged objects attracts uncharged objects. First conclusion is what? If one object is charged, another is not charged, both of them can attract, correct. Second conclusion is what? There is repulsion, means they will push away each other. There is repulsion between like charges. Okay. Third observation or third conclusion, there is attraction between unlike electric charges. Hence, repulsion is used as a test for identifying an electrically charged object, correct. So this experiment gave us very important conclusion. Okay, I will repeat it. What it is? Electrically charged object attracts charged object. There is repulsion between like charges and there is attraction between unlike charges. Okay, and hence repulsion is used as a test for identifying an electrically charged objects. Now in this video we will learn how the electric charge is generated, correct. There are two methods by which electric charge is generated. First one, to charge an object by contact, and second one, to charge an object by induction. Okay, means how the charge is produced by two methods. One is by contact, other is by induction. What is the meaning of this? By contact means touching each other, and by induction means what? We are inducing, we are just holding one charged object to the uncharged one, and that charge or static electricity passes. Just the presence of it affects the other object. Okay, so let us explain it one by one. As you can see in the video, I have shown you some pictures. That in first picture, the pieces of papers are getting attracted towards the comb. Then the flowing water is attracted by comb, and to the wall one balloon is been sticking. Already in the previous video I have shown you these experiments, correct. In first experiment what we have to do, that little bit modified it is, rub a plastic comb against any woolen cloth and touch this comb with another comb, another uncharged comb. What will happen? The first one, so definitely it will attract the pieces of paper, but the second one which was uncharged, that also will attract the pieces of paper. Means what we are doing? By touching one comb to another, we are generating electric charge, and it is by contact. Why? Because both the combs are touch to each other, and then only the electricity has been passed or electric charge has been passed. Correct. Second method is by induction. How the induction is been done? Suppose you rub a comb again on a woolen cloth or a balloon. You can take a balloon and rub it on your hair as shown in the picture. Correct. Then you have to observe what happens. When the charged comb is brought close to the flowing water, the water gets attracted. Correct. I have shown it to you in a very first part 1 video. Then second one, if the charged comb is taken away from the flowing water, again the water falls down or remains as it was initially. So at first the flow of water is not charged. When negatively charged comb is brought near to the flowing water, the negative particles in it are pushed away, and that part becomes positively charged due to the deficiency of negative charge. The comb has negative and water has positive. So obviously they attract each other, and therefore the flowing water gets attracted towards comb. Once the comb is taken away, the negative particle in flowing water come back to their original position, and positive negative charge become equal in numbers, and as a result the water flows down again as it was initially. Okay, so always remember the number of positive and number of negative charges are equal on uncharged or neutral objects. Okay, normal object which you have not rubbed on any woolen cloth, nylon piece, that in that substance the positive and negative charges are equal, but the electric charge is generated by induction stays only as long as charged object is near to it. Okay, in second method, first method what I told you by contact, second method I told you by induction. So in induction whatever charge is been produced, it remain as long as you hold that charged object. Once you remove the charged object, the electric charge also will be neutral. Okay, so this was all about generation of electric charge. Regarding this, one more experiment is been given in our textbook. Let us study that experiment. Now let us see one experiment which describes the effect of electric charge. As shown in the slide, you can see the 3 figures. In that one aluminium ball is been tied with the string to one support, correct, and one balloon you have to take. So what it will be? When an uncharged aluminium ball is brought near a negatively charged balloon, the following things happens. Okay, first you have to take a balloon which we should rub it on your hair or any nylon or woolen cloth. As a result, the balloon will become negatively charged. In figure A, you can see as shown in figure A, an opposite charge is generated in the other object by induction, and both the objects get attracted towards each other. Correct. Then second figure, what happens? First initially they come closer to each other, they get attracted. Then on touching both the objects, when they come in contact with each other, they become similarly charged. Means once the contact of aluminum ball and balloon takes place, the charge on both will be same. And as we have learned earlier that there is always repulsion between like charges. So aluminum ball and balloon, again they will repel each other. Why? Because on both, that is on aluminum ball and on balloon, the charges will be same. So this was the experiment which was reflecting the effects of electric charge. Okay, now we have one science activity book also. In that one many experiments are being given, and we are going to write those experiments in that science journal or science activity book. once we finish our lessons, this portion, we will start writing our science activity book. Okay, so in today's lesson we have seen the frictional activity. Okay, what first of all we have seen what do you mean by frictional activity. Then we have seen one experiment, okay, which described that there is always repulsion between like charges, attraction between opposite charges or unlike charges, and hence the repulsion is a test for identifying electrically charged object. Then we have seen the generation of electric charge and we have learned about the effects of electric charge. The remaining part we will continue in our next lesson.
Lesson number 8, Static Electricity, Part 9. Today we are going to learn one device whose name is gold leaf electroscope. Okay, what do you mean by this gold leaf electroscope and how it is been used? Let us see one by one. Gold leaf electroscope is a device which is used to detect the electric charge on an object. Means if any object is given to you and if you want to find out whether this object is electrically charged or not, then this is the device which is used to detect the charge on an object. Now in the given structure, in the given slide, I have shown you one diagram which is labeled one, correct? Now in your textbook whichever diagram is been given, it is not labeled. What you all have to do, this diagram which I have shown in the slide or in the video, that diagram you have to refer and the same labels you have to give to your diagram which is given in your textbook. Same diagram we are going to learn in our science activity book as well. There also I think names are been given. If it is not given, we can refer that diagram as well. Okay. Now as shown in the figure, it consists of a copper or brass rod, correct? That rod, it has a metal disc at the upper end and two thin gold leaves at the other end. The rod is placed in a bottle so that the disc is above the bottle. When an uncharged object is taken near the disc, that is brass disc as it is shown, it can be made up of brass or it can be made up of copper. Why brass or copper? Because they are the good conductor of electricity. Okay, so if any object or which you want to check whether it is charged or not, we have to hold that object to near to that disc. Okay, then when a charged object is taken near that disc, both the leaves are charged by the same electric charge. Means if the object by which you are touching that disc, if it is charged, then what happen? The gold leaves which are inside the bottle, what they will do, they will move away from each other. Means they will repel, these two leaves will repel each other. Means whichever charge has been passed through that rod, it is of same type, correct? As you can see in your textbook, suppose any glass rod which is positively charged, by that rod if we are touching the disc, that all positive ions will pass through that rod and as a result both the gold leaves will have positive charge. And earlier we have learned that there is always repulsion between similar charges or like charges and therefore gold leaves will move away from each other, correct? Then when we touch the disc with our hand, the leaves collapse. Why? Because the charge in the leaves, which are there in the leaves, that goes into the earth through our body. Means that charge is being passed to our body and through our body it is passed over the earth. And again the leaves get discharged and they come closer to each other, correct? So this is how this gold leaf electroscope works. Means only what we have to do, whichever object you want to find whether it is charged or not, that object you have to touch at the disc which is outside the bottle. And if the leaves are moving away from each other, repelling each other, then we can consider that given object is a charged object. Okay, so this is how gold leaf electroscope works, and from that we can use this instrument at different places or in labs to find out whether the given object is charged or not. Lesson number 8, Static Electricity Part 10. Now we are going to learn the next concept, that is atmospheric electric charge. Means until now what we have learned, that every particle has the positive and negative electrons in the equal numbers, and when we rub or when friction occurs, then only the charge is transferred from one object to another. Correct? But in atmosphere also there is a presence of electric charge. Correct? And we have experienced, now it's a rainy season, so you might have experienced the clouds, thunder and lightning. Many times we have seen the lightning. Sometimes we hear or read that the lightning struck a tree or building and some people or animals were killed. Now what is it that actually happens when there is a lightning in the sky? Okay, when lightning strikes the earth, what happens actually? Okay, let's see and try to understand with the help of this figure. As is shown in the diagram or figure, you can see a picture of two clouds is been shown. If you see in that cloud, red colored positive symbols are there and blue colored negative symbols are there. That indicate the positive symbols are for positive charged and blue colored symbols are for negative charged. Correct? Means the clouds also carries the positive and negative charges. Now what happens actually when lightning occurs? When air and clouds rub against each other in the sky. Now the clouds or in the sky, clouds are at very high level, and in the high level we know that the air pressure or the air tides, they are traveling, air is traveling with very high speed. Correct? Due to that, when sometime air and clouds get rubbed against each other, correct, then the upper part of some clouds on the upper side become then positively charged and lower sides become negatively charged. The science behind lightning and lightning strike is little bit complicated. Therefore, just consider one cloud in the sky as shown in the figure with a negatively charged base above a plain ground. Means consider that there is one cloud which have the positive and negative charge. When this negative charge on the bottom of the cloud become much larger than the charge on the ground. Correct? While rubbing, what happens when the air and the clouds gets rubbed with each other, the particles, the negatively charged particles or the electrons, their number increases, okay, and positive number decreases. But the number of negative charge which is present on the earth is less compared to cloud, and it's a rule for the flowing of current, that always the current flows from negative to positive end, or you can say it always flows from higher level to lower level. Correct? So the number of electrons in the cloud become high compared to earth, and therefore it starts flowing towards the ground in stages. This happens very fast, means now I am explaining it, but it happens within a fraction of second. Okay, all these activities happens within a fraction of second, and in a less than second, heat and light and sound energies are produced along with this electric current. This electric current flows from the cloud to the ground within a fraction of second, and to that we call it as a lightning. Correct? Passage of negative charge from the cloud to earth is nothing but a lightning. Means in short, the current is flowing from cloud to earth, and therefore some animals on whatever it falls, okay, well, let it be any living things, they get died because of the shock. Correct. Now this was the mechanism behind the lightning. Now, due to tremendous heat and light generated by lightning, a chemical reaction occurs between nitrogen and oxygen which is present in the air, and nitrogen oxide gas is formed. It mixes with the rainwater and comes down to the earth, and it supplies the nitrogen to the soil, which improves its fertility. Means in nature, whatever incidents, whatever things are happening, it's conducting the cycle of the earth in a proper way. Correct. Due to the energy of the lightning, the oxygen in the air is converted into ozone, and you know that this ozone gas is useful, or it protects us from the harmful ultraviolet rays which are coming from the sun. So lightning strike, though we think that it is falling on the living thing and it's making damage to the living beings, but it is helpful also. Only thing is that we have to take care whenever these lightning strikes are taking place. We have to take care of ourselves. Now how we should take care, or how we should get protected? Okay, how we will protect ourselves from this damage? Let us see it in a next video. Lesson number 8, part 11. Let us study the measures to be taken to prevent the damage caused by lightning, or what kind of device should be used so that the damage or should not be there by the lightning strike. So now we are going to learn about the lightning conductor. What is lightning conductor? You can see in the figure it is shown one diagram. Okay, it will reveal you or tell you what is lightning conductor. Lightning conductor is a device used for protection from a lightning strike. It consists of a long copper strip. Okay, it consists of long copper strip with one end forked. Okay, you can see in the figure one copper strip is been there, and it is this thing at one end is forked, means it is little bit bent. Okay, and this end is at the highest part of the building. Fork, you might have this thing, use the fork for eating the while eating we are using the forks. They are having different what you say, needle like structures. Okay, so same that fork structure at one end to that copper strip, fork structure is there, and other end of that strip is connected to a plate of cast iron. Okay, cast iron means cast iron is the name of the iron, is a alloy. Okay, that is combination of or you can say the good quality of iron, you can call it as, because you will not understand the meaning of alloy and all that just now. So you remember that word cast iron. So another end of the strip is connected to a plate of cast iron, and that one pit is dug in the ground in which coal and salt are filled into that pit, and iron plate is placed upright in the pit. Pit means you have to make you have to dig into the ground, that is called as the pit. Into that pit we should put what? Coal and salt, and on that coal and salt this iron plate is fixed. To that iron plate what is attached? Copper strip. Correct, that copper strip whose one end is forked. Now that one end which is forked end, it should be always fixed at the top of the building or top of your house, whatever it's your building or any bungalow or any house, wherever you want to fix the lightning conductor, its one end should be on the top of the building and other end is connected to the cast iron plate which is fixed into a one pit with the coal and salt. Correct. There is also one provision or the place in which we can pour water into it. Now, how does it work? This helps to spread the electric charge quickly into the ground and prevent damage. Okay, why to pour the water in that one? What it is told that by pouring water we can prevent or we can allow the charge to be spread into the ground. Whenever an electrically charged cloud passes over the building or during lightnings, whenever lightnings are taking place, okay, when electrically charged cloud passes over the building, the electric charge flowing toward the buildings are conducted into the ground through this copper strip. Means whatever charge is there into the cloud, it is attracted by the forked end of the copper strip. Okay, forked end, that needle like structure, you can see the yellow color needle like structure, okay, and which is labeled as tip or end. By that end the cloud charge is been absorbed, and through that copper strip it is passed into the ground. Correct. It is conducted into the ground through the copper strip and damage to the building is prevented. When such lightning conductor earthing is fixed on a tall building, the surrounding area is also protected from lightning. Means that one lightning conductor saves, it protects what? Full building or surrounding area of the building. Okay, so whenever the construction work is going on, normally this lightning conductor has to be fixed onto the top of the buildings. Okay, so if you want to find more information how we get how to get protection from lightning, we can or we will discuss into the next lesson, 10th lesson, that is disaster management. Lightning conductor is used for the protection of building and for our personal every time we are not in a house or home, sometime we are at the outside, and when lightnings are going on, in that situation what is to be done, that we will discuss in lesson number 10. So here we have come to an end of this lesson, static electricity. In this lesson we have learnt about electric charge, origin of electric charge. Each atom is neutral, it has equal amount of positive and negative charge, this also we learned. Then we discuss about the frictional electricity and gold leaf electroscope we have seen, okay, which is the device used to find whether given object is charged or not. And we have discussed about the atmospheric electric charge. So here we are going to end this lesson, static electricity. Thank you very much.